After almost 11 weeks in lockdown, Sydney-siders will today learn details of the state government's roadmap out, even as case numbers and the death toll continue to rise. The New South Wales roadmap will be revealed by the Premier this morning, with restrictions to begin lifting when 70% vaccination rates are reached. The ABC understands relief will come much sooner across a swathe of regional New South Wales, with parts of the mid and north coast, the Riverina and Murrumbidgee set to see their lockdown lifted from midnight tomorrow. The state recorded 1,480 new cases yesterday and 9 deaths, including a man in his 20s, and case numbers are growing in inner Sydney and western New South Wales.
Meanwhile, most of regional Victoria, excluding Shepparton, is preparing to emerge from lockdown from tonight, with face-to-face learning for younger primary school and Year 12 students resuming. Lots going on, so let's go straight to Lara Himes in Sydney, Eden Hennanen in Gisborne, northwest of Melbourne, and Michaela Ortolan in Albury on the New South Wales-Victorian border. Good morning all. Lara, let's kick off with you and talk about the state's roadmap to be unveiled later this morning.
Well, good morning, Michael. This has been some welcome news for Sydney-siders waking up today, especially as we're heading to the end of week 11 of lockdown. We're still not clear on the details of what this roadmap will be or what industries this will be favouring. However, we believe that this will be in relation to low-risk settings. So that's where social distancing measures can be observed and also compliance can be ensured. Now, it's likely to be in settings and businesses where you can ensure that vaccination rates, the individuals going into those premises and into those industries can prove their evidence of the double dose vaccination rates. We know that that has been a privilege that has been promised to those who do get to that target. We're expected to reach that by the mid to the end of October, and that has been a caveat on some of these freedoms opening up. The ABC understands too that there could be a uniformity and when we're opening up in terms of the Greater Sydney area, and we'll be waiting with bated breath this morning as that briefing gets underway.
We will indeed. And Lara, there's also some good news for parts of the state today.
Well, this is in particular the areas of the mid and the north coast of New South Wales, encompassing some of the Riverina and also the Murrumbidgee areas. We understand that lockdowns will be lifted in those particular parts from tomorrow. We also believe that there's going to be some interstate travel restrictions lifted too once we get to the double dose vaccination target by the mid-end of October deadline. So there is going to be some welcome news for people looking to have a new change of scenery.
Lara, thank you. Let's go to you, Eden, now in Victoria. Restrictions are set to ease in large parts of regional Victoria.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. That's right. With the state recording 221 locally acquired cases yesterday and the state seeing almost 2,000 active cases now across the state, Premier Daniel Andrews did say yesterday that with the state not wanting or not able to reach that zero target anymore and that most cases are in Melbourne, that from midnight tonight, regional Victoria, excluding Shepparton, will see quite a lot of restrictions ease. So from tomorrow, midnight tonight, Michael, no limits will be placed on travel for regional Victorians despite Shepparton. And most businesses will be able to reopen, including a number of hospitality businesses, but obviously at limited capacity at the moment. Regional schools will reopen, so those in grade 2 will be able to return to school, and Year 12 students will be able to return and sit their exams for Term 3. Now, funerals will be able to have up to 20 people, and weddings will be able to have 10 people. So I'm in Gisborne at the moment, one of the regional towns along the Melbourne border. So from midnight tonight on this side of the border will look a little different. But police say there will be a strong presence out, and anyone breaking the rules in Melbourne coming across to regional Victoria could see fines of up to or over $5,000. But some good news at least, Michael, for regional Victoria.
Some welcome good news. Thank you, Eden. To Michaela now in Albury on the New South Wales-Victorian border. Now, you've spoken with some stranded Victorians there. How are they feeling about the news?
Yeah, Michael, it's very exciting news for these stranded Victorians who were virtually locked out of the state when the government made that announcement that they weren't able to return home. Now, I'm at a caravan park in Albury today where there's a number of couples who basically found refuge here for the last 4 weeks. Now, they've applied for several permits in that time. All of them have been rejected. So, as you can imagine, when that announcement came through yesterday, there was a level of excitement and relief as well that they would be eligible for these permits. Now, there are a number of requirements attached to these permits. It is a trial, so there will be about 200 that will be granted, and those people that can apply will have to have been within the border bubble for the last 2 weeks. So anyone else who is stranded in other parts of the state and in the ACT as well, the advice is to sit tight and hopefully this trial will be expanded in time to be able to bring them home as well. So they'll have to isolate for 2 weeks on their return home. They'll have to provide evidence that they are a Victorian resident, as well as evidence that they've at least had 1 dose of the vaccination and get a COVID-19 test in the 48 hours leading up to their planned arrival date. So there are some requirements attached to this permit, but as you can imagine, it's a very exciting time for these people that have been basically staying in caravans or vans or anywhere else to be able to return home finally after such a long period of time.
Michaela, Eden and Lara, thank you all for the updates there. To other news now, the Federal Health Minister is facing strong criticism after documents revealed his office didn't meet with Pfizer until weeks after the US and UK had secured supply deals. The pharmaceutical giant repeatedly advised the federal government to show urgency, saying development of the COVID vaccine was moving swiftly. Now, the government insists it could not have secured any more doses during initial negotiations last year. The federal opposition says the documents confirm the Prime Minister took a wait-and-see approach.
Today we're still paying that price. There are more Australians in lockdown and fewer people fully vaccinated than any other developed country on the face of the earth. And that is down to Scott Morrison's failure to act early.
The Prime Minister has posted a video online overnight sending a message to all Australians still stuck overseas waiting to come home. Scott Morrison thanked them for their sacrifices and outlined the plan for borders to reopen when vaccination rates are high enough. Mr Morrison says home quarantine is a key component of the plan.
We want to have home quarantine as the primary and viable method for quarantine and the widespread option for people who are travelling or living overseas and wishing to return to Australia.
Let's check the state of the nation's vaccine rollout this morning, and as we can see, 64.6% of us have had first doses. That's the eligible population, 16 years and plus. Just under 40% fully vaccinated on the broader population scale, that is closer to 32%. And looking at the state-by-state breakdown now, and there you see the various figures all the way from the ACT down to WA, and just a reminder, we update our viewers at this time every morning on the state of the vaccine rollout.